just seeing him on the top, I was like, oh man, he's gonna do it. What is he doing? It's Raw. What are you? Why? There's Mania. It's 6 weeks away.
No.
Right?
Can you imagine everybody's backstage just holding their breath like, oh my God. Oh my God.
6 weeks. Don't screw the main event. Don't mess up the event. Are they having the conversations too? That's what I'm concerned about. Like, why aren't they talking about this? Why haven't they addressed this?
Do they even have production meetings? Mox just go out and Death Riders, blood. Like, he did that on SmackDown, and you could have gotten away with it. Then he comes out on Raw, does the exact same, happy to be here at the end. And it was just like, what the point of that?
You know, just sit down and enjoy the ride The Rock's going to take you on, you know, enjoy whatever. And I'm like, okay, but you haven't taken us on the, like, this is the ride, and you're still 2 stops late. Raw just happened at MSG right down the street from us.
That was so great, bro.
Madison Square Garden, Punk versus Seth in the cage. This match was crazy because if I had like that big fight feel all night, like the promos throughout it, I'm like, is this a pay-per-view? It's Raw. It's Monday Night Raw. Like, and building it up at the Garden, I think there was at least 2 or 3 promos of just like their history.
Yes.
And I'm like, well, this is...
It's a big deal. It's a cage match that you don't get on free television that often, especially in Madison Square Garden. Not to mention, the rest of the episode was really good.
No, yeah.
Everything, top to bottom. With a banger main event like that, what more could you ask for?
The road to WrestleMania, man. This is it. And this is the exciting part about being a wrestling fan. You know, we always talk about it, the road to WrestleMania. Like, you got to watch it from the Rumble till Mania, because that's like kind of when everything's in full gear.
Facts.
But it's been, I think since the Triple H regime, I don't know. He's doing a lot more stuff that he wasn't able to do.
Okay.
And he's keeping our attention, and he's just, you know, making wrestling great again. Is that he's in a way, you know, but no, that whole night was great. I'm excited for it, but you know, a lot of things happened on it. I think there's a lot of things that people were talking about.
But how did you feel about that main event, that match from beginning to end?
It was a solid match. I mean, nobody was bleeding. They didn't need blood.
You didn't need it. Yeah, you didn't need it.
You didn't need the blood in the cage match, and it shows you that you're like, hey, you could still put on a good show without gigging yourself, right? So
dude, they beat the dog out of each other. I was like, dude, and they did not slow down.
Yeah, and he didn't even need to jump from the top, because just seeing him on the top, I was like, oh man, he's gonna do it. What is he doing? It's Raw. What are you? Why? There's Mania. It's 6 weeks away.
I know.
Don't do it, but it still gets you hyped up, right?
Can you imagine everybody's backstage just holding their breath like, oh my God. Oh my God.
6 weeks. Don't screw the main event. Don't mess up the event. No, and that's it. I mean, just seeing the iconic Madison Square Garden ceiling with him on top of the cage.
Yeah.
You know, was this a pay-per-view? Like, it's crazy that they built it up so solid for this, and it was just an exciting time to watch it, especially if you've never watched wrestling before and you're coming across this on Netflix and you're like, "Oh, what is this?"
Not only that, I mean, for 2 people who allegedly don't like each other, they really do work well together.
No, for sure.
They just like know each other inside and out. They put on a banger, and dude, the finish. I mean, I don't want to be one of those who called it, but I had a feeling that you'd get Roman involved.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I didn't think that he was going to go after Punk. And that makes things really interesting, because there were a lot of people out there who were thinking, oh, you know, he's going to ask Roman to get in the Rock's ear for the favor from Paul to get into the main event. I don't think that's happening now. Yeah. No.
There's so many things that could. I'm trying to think of like what could happen. And that's what's great about this whole part of being on the road to WrestleMania. CM Punk is a Paul Heyman guy before Roman was a Paul Heyman guy.
Facts.
So you have that working with it. Seth Rollins was never a Paul Heyman guy, which is fine. But this whole feud, since he's returned, it's elevated Seth to a level to where, I mean, this dude was the WWE champion for the longest time, and then he's. When's the last time when was he a main champ? You know, okay, who's the world champ last year?
Last year, dude.
Yes, but I mean, before they brought the world title back, like he didn't have his hands on the WWE championship for a while. With that said, this feud with Punk, it's just elevated each other a little bit. Is it real heat? Are they really, you know, is this real hate for what they've, you know, been through over the years? But they're still working great with each other.
I know.
And
they protected the out of each other. Like, I was watching Seth when they did that suplex off the top.
Yeah.
He made sure he had him perfect. And, man, they just...
That's the beauty of wrestling, man. That's the beauty of it. It's hard to tell you exactly why we love it so much when you come to like things like this where, you know, there's a lot of stuff going on in the back. You know, there's a lot of ifs, ands, or buts, but like when it all comes together and it works, that's it, man. That's pro wrestling right there.
You got it.
But you know, Cooter, I'm still griping about this. I mean, for me, we talked about it last week. I'm a CM Punk fan. I wanted to see him in the main event for the championship. There's 6 weeks to go. I'm going to say that you're right. There's 6 weeks till Mania. It looks like Punk versus Seth versus Roman now, a 3-way. I mean, I don't know, anything can happen. Anything could change. You have 2 Paul Heyman guys in this, and it's like, and I'm not trying to book it, but like you have, is Heyman going to turn on Roman? Is Heyman going to, what's he going to do for Punk? Is one of these guys going to leave with a Heyman, with the Heyman?
We've seen this before with Paul, too, when it was CM Punk and Brock Lesnar. And that was tough. Because I want to say that he started to manage Punk after that feud.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we'll see where it happens. You know, we'll see what happens. To me, Paul doesn't really play the biggest part in this feud. To me, I just want to see where we're putting Punk.
Yeah.
Because at this point, I think a lot of people were under the impression you were just going to get Roman Seth one-on-one.
Yeah.
And you throw this into the mix. It's interesting, but yeah, you kind of have some of those problems. People are going to piss and moan no matter what they do with it. But, well, you know.
No, for sure. And I mean, like I said, going back to last year, his whole injury, not being able to go to Mania, especially on that kind of a return. This year, I feel like he was saying it every week, even, you know, after the Rumble, leading up to the Rumble, even into Elimination Chamber, that he's main eventing WrestleMania this time. And like, that was the story to me, is like, he's finally going to get that WrestleMania main event. And now we see him in this kind of a match, which is probably going to be on the middle of the card. This is not going to close out the show. I mean, you're going to have probably the world title on one and then the WWE on one. I don't know. It's too much going.
You know what? I sort of see. And what do you do with that? Because technically, Gunther and Jay should close out WrestleMania. Yep. Jay won the Rumble. He should be main eventing WrestleMania. You have Cody Rhodes, Cena, and most people would think that should close out the show. What are they going to do?
I know.
And what part of the... But then you could even say that triple threat could be a main event for a night one. I don't know, but it's interesting.
I know, man, because like we fight so hard not to book it in our head. For years, it's been so predictable, being like, oh, this is going to be the match. Now I'm not even sure, because I'm like, he's got to do something over here. There's going to be some kind of a twist here.
Yeah.
And I feel like this Triple H dynamic, once again, you know, the way he's just been booking it, the stories that they're telling, it's keeping us guessing as fans, and that's great. That's what I love. I hate going into Mania knowing like, oh, we already got 10 matches ready to go. Like, he's been kind of like making it be anybody's game, as like the United States Championship has changed, the Women's Championship has changed.
I bet you that made you so happy. You got vindicated because Io Sky won the women's title last week, and you're like, motherfucker. And now what? Nakamura loses?
You got L.A. Knight, whatever. Yeah. I don't know. But no, yeah. And that's the thing, is like, for the old wrestling fan years ago, we'd be like, there's no way they would switch the belt before Mania 5-7 weeks ago, right? And it's like, he's just doing all these things are still going in full force and full motion to lead up to that Mania.
Yep.
You know, and that's, I mean, for people who don't watch it. This is the greatest part about being a wrestling fan, is this time of the year. You know, this is great. So, I mean, all in all, I think this all leads back to like a Triple H and what he's been doing for everybody, kind of using them where they should be used. And maybe I'll bite my tongue after this happens, to where if this is a match where it's a triple threat, I'll be like, oh, you should still be in the main event. Then I'll see this kind of a match and I'll say like, oh, okay, I get it now. You know what I mean? I won't be mad, but at the same time, I don't know. Deep down, I still want him to have that main event match. So
I hear you.
All in all, though, I know they can't do this every Raw. It's hard to do like live TV every week, right? But doing it in this Netflix era, they kind of have more flexibility. They don't have to go to 11 o'clock or 11 or whatever. They can go out at 10:30 sometimes, or sometimes right after 10, right? Or whatever. It doesn't have to be that 3-hour nonstop show that it's been. And I feel like there's that more flexibility to tell these stories, to kind of like stretch all this out and just give the fans what they want, but without giving them too much. And
you know what's funny?
Yeah.
And I could be wrong, and I'm sure I'll get killed in the comments, but I want to say SmackDown had 6 matches, right?
No, yeah.
And I want to say Raw only had 4.
Yeah.
I could be wrong, But I think that's interesting. Back to what you're saying about Triple H. It's not just him booking these main events. He's doing an amazing job with the entire card. Whether we're building to WrestleMania or if we're just building feuds within their respective brands, he's killing it.
Yeah.
I'll give you an example.
Yep.
That Chad Gable thing this week was so funny. And the internet was in an uproar because I saw one meme. Do you know what they called him?
What's that?
Chad Gable's luchador name was Ultimo MAGA. Yo, I was dying.
Oh my God.
No, it's great.
So wait, who do you think was even under that mask? Because to me, I was like, is that Ray Phoenix? Is this how they're going to bring Ray Phoenix in? And like, I can't tell. And I don't know who they use, but to me, it looked like Ray Phoenix.
It had to be him out in the actual floor.
Yeah.
Right? Because it just seemed like him. It looked like him. And then to see him backstage without the mask and then them security dragging the guy out with the mask, I'm like, boy, yeah, maybe that's... Come on.
And not to foreshadow anything, but if this leads to him versus Penta at Mania, it's going to probably be the match of the whole entire weekend.
No question.
And I cannot wait for that. So if it is Ray Phoenix hiding under there, they're finally doing a little bit of justice for him. And I really... Chad Gable, man, I want him to win something too. I want him to get a title. I want, remember everybody was crapping that he didn't win the
IC title
or go to Mania for it, and then he at Mania last year he was just in the parking lot to tell him what's his name to go to the ring, and I was like, that's it. That's all you're gonna give them. Please don't hate on him. He's so entertaining. But no,
I owe Mike Colon an apology. Yeah. After all these years, your sleeper pick is finally relevant.
Go back to episode 125 or what was it? It was a long time ago.
Yeah, dude.
That's the long-term booking for us. You gotta stay with us for 276 episodes. My goodness. Thanks for watching another wrestling podcast. Make sure you like us, follow us, subscribe to us, especially on YouTube.
What the hell? You just said everything. There's nothing left for me to say.
You could buy our on ProWrestlingTees.com/another wrestling podcast.
Credo.
You said how this had 4 matches on Raw, or 3 matches, or 4 matches and 5, whatever. Let's transition to AEW.
Okay.
Their pay-per-view had 13 matches. That's a commitment. That's a whole night of. Are you sure you need this match on the card? 13 matches pay-per-view, man, and we have to talk about this because I didn't watch it.
I didn't either.
And it's not to say I'm anti-AEW. It's just for us at our age, Cooter, at this old age, you got to draw us in a little bit more. If I'm going to spend my free time to watch your 13-match pay-per-view from like 7 to midnight or whatever it started.
But not only that.
It's hard work.
To spend the extra money for something that's not already on a streaming service.
Well, that's the thing is I'm too cheap. I've got kids. I can't spend $50 every...
I know. When I threw the Wembley party, you paid me in Shane bucks.
Those are technically just as good as regular
No, you cheap
But that's what I'm saying. It's like, I don't want to have to, I think we've come too accustomed ever since WWE went to a network and I was paying $20 a month.
$9.99.
Okay, $9.99. That is true. I was trying to think, even if it was $20, I'd still be getting more than
it's still a great value because you figure a pay-per-view was costing you $30 to $50 depending on, how good. If it was one of the big 4, it was definitely going to be 50 or more.
Yeah, and you're getting all this other content. I love the network. I wish it didn't go away because when I went to Peacock, it's watered down, I feel like, than what it was. But still, $4.99, and now you're telling me I have to pay $50? Just because it's $50 doesn't mean it should be 13 matches. Yeah. And I think this is, it's like we had a few episodes last year about AEW and how could they get this back? Because when they started, we said it. I bought the first pay-per-view. I was down with it. I'm here to see the competition and I want to stay invested. And I don't know how you feel. I'll tell you how I feel. But why is it hard to watch them again, or why is it so hard to get back into it? Maybe for you.
I feel like they just keep signing new people. And if they don't get over right away, then they kind of just end up in the background.
Yeah.
Some of the bigger names, we started watching AEW because they started developing a lot of their own stars. We had a guy like MJF. You had Mr. Cowboy, and mixed in with a couple of veterans like Dustin Rhodes or Jericho.
Yeah.
So we had a nice little mix, a nice little balance, and the work was good. The storytelling at the beginning seemed to be pretty decent. it just got to a point where I felt like they had so many names and didn't know what to do with half of them.
Yeah.
The joke always was, it's the shiny new toy that's going to end up on the shelf in catering.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? And it's true, and it sucks. And then at some point, you started hearing the rumblings of a lot of the backstage guys.
Yep.
Talent wasn't listening to them. They were going to do things their own. It's just too much freedom, and the storytelling isn't there for me. Now, we watched the Wembley show.
Yeah.
Apparently, and I want to watch this match now. I want to hear that. I heard that Mariah May and Toni Storm was a banger.
Sure, yeah.
You're getting the mixed reviews because, too much blood, too much violence, blah, 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 blah. Okay. But a match was apparently amazing. That carried over from that pay-per-view that we watched. That's a long-term feud, so they finally did something right. I'm not going to sit here and say that I can't be turned, okay? Roman Reigns is a classic example. How many years did I on that man?
Yep.
And now he's my favorite.
Yep.
It's very possible to bring me back in. Now, little by little, I'm starting to see clips. I'm starting to see the Jarrett Redemption Tour. I saw some heartfelt promos from Dustin Rhodes. I saw MJF just killing it. I don't know what happened on this pay-per-view, but okay, here's another one.
Yeah.
Wembley. Christian won that contract.
Yep.
Apparently they used that in the finish and it was worthless. So you had one story from Wembley that made it all the way to this pay-per-view that was amazing, and you wasted Christian, who's probably been like the highlight of your show week in and week out. I don't know.
No, it's I don't know how to put the nail on the head or whatever. It's what is the exact problem? Because it's almost like, okay, we have 13 matches. That's 13 matches. You're telling me you have 13 solid storylines for every match, or whatnot. I think that I think this is the New Japan problem for me, to where I love WWE.
Right.
I've given other companies in America, I'll watch them from TNA to whatever. Right. The problem with me is the name recognition. I don't watch New Japan because I don't know everybody. I can't find myself.
Unless you're watching week to week, you're really not invested into what's going on.
I'm not invested in any of the characters or the stories. So it's okay, yeah, the wrestling, I'm sure it's good, but at the same time, I'm not getting invested in it. With this, they have a plethora. They have so many people, and it should really they need to gut the fish. They really got to center it around okay, who are your main players, and then from there build on other characters to come in, to where they're just putting all their characters in at once, and it's I don't know which one to pick. There's too many toys in the toy pouch.
But not only that, I feel like some of their younger homegrown talent has made its way over to NXT. You had Ethan Page, you had Brian Pillman Jr. Now we got
Sammy Guevara's on Ring of Honor, and he was one of the biggest names when they had him on there.
Dude.
And now he's just we'll put him on Ring of Honor, where we don't even see.
And who
that
do we
anymore.
got in NXT now? What's his name? Ricky Saints?
Yeah, Ricky Starks.
I'm
Ricky Saints,
dude, these are. It almost reminds me of WCW in the same way, where WCW, they had some nice homegrown talent, and they brought a bunch of WWE guys in, and that homegrown talent got sick of being put on the back shelf and went to WWE. I feel like it's happening again.
Yeah.
And it's just, it sucks. I think in order for AEW to be really successful, you need to get a real booker. Take that pen out of Tony Khan's hands.
Yeah.
Give it to somebody who knows what the they're doing, and make some of these talent do what you want them to do, not what we think. Not for nothing. People are saying Mariah May and Toni Storm should have main evented, and I'll agree because it's a long-term feud. But what main evented? Cope versus Mox. I don't even know how long that was built up for, because I feel like Cope just came back, a month and a half, 2 months ago? And damn well he wasn't in the main event picture the second he got back.
No, yeah. And here's the thing. I remember when ACW first came out, probably
ACW?
AEW.
Okay.
When AEW came out, they were at Comic-Con, and I interviewed, it was Moxley, Jericho, and a handful of others. And I'm talking with Moxley, and I could tell right away why it's failing. Because when I was talking to him, he was a guy that hated memorizing scripts. He didn't like doing scripts in WWE.
Right.
Every time they gave him stuff, he just hated it.
Yes.
And I don't think he just can remember a lot of the stuff. It's just one of those things. He doesn't like remembering the scripts, right? So whatever. When we were interviewing him, when he first started, we were trying to like ask him like, well, what's so different from, WWE and this and that. And one of the things he was talking about, and I gotta find this, I have it somewhere. I gotta dig it up and post it on our thing. But he would talk about how there's no writers, there's no producers. It's just basically them in the back controlling the stories and whatnot. And I was like, boom, red flag.
Yeah.
Because when the cooks or when the inmates are running the asylum, it's just going to be chaos, right?
Yeah.
And I'm sure they have other things now, but at the same time, when it started, there was a lot of like, hey, you're going to book your stuff or I'm going to book my stuff. And they were kind of like investing in their own characters and whatnot. Like they didn't have any writers giving them anything. At the end of the day, I mean, I loved watching wrestling when they didn't have so many writers, but at the same time, there's nobody giving them direction.
Yeah.
And the only person I think that's giving them direction is the guy that doesn't really know how to have direction in pro wrestling or like to stick with these stories. And you talked about Mariah May and Toni Storm in their whole match. And one of the reasons why I think her stuff is going good and everybody likes it is because she has a story. It's not like
it's
angry
crazy.
Cooter coming out or it's like they gave her a character. She's making the story with it, and it's like I'm invested in the story now.
Yes.
When you're just coming out there being like, oh, I'm a cool guy on the indies, I'm the Young Bucks, that's all. I don't need a story. Just, people love me on the indies. Or,
You're right. I didn't think of that. It's not only that she made her character, she wrote the story with it.
Yeah.
That's beautiful, Credo. You're not wrong.
And it's, it's one of those things to where like when they first started, all elite. So I'm thinking, okay, you got Kenny Omega, you got Young Bucks, you got all the top guys on the indies. Mm-hmm. And I figured like that's what AEW was going to be, like all those top guys. And then all those top guys are starting to book their own stuff, and there's no really, everybody's trying to book them over.
Yeah.
Everybody wants to have the championship, or everybody wants to be the winner. And not everybody should get the trophy at the end of the day, right? Like, and I remember talking about WWE saying like, oh, it's so scripted. I remember Randy Orton would hate it because he would forget his lines. Like, they would try to make him memorize like pages and pages of stuff, and it's like, just give him a few bullet points. Give him like.
Do you think that joke he wrote for SmackDown?
I think that was a Randy Orton original.
You think that was a Randy Orton original, or was that something he memorized from the script?
I know.
I felt so bad because that was a damn good joke, and it just went over everybody's head.
I mean, there's a video online. Remember him? Like, he literally asked whoever he was cutting a promo with. This is like 10 years ago. He's like, what's my line? He was like, it's on Google. It's on YouTube. There's like a clip of him asking like what his line is out loud to, I don't know who it was with him in the ring, but no. Okay, so going back, it's just, there was a pay-per-view on, and I didn't want to spend $50.
Right.
I didn't want to sit there from till 7 till midnight with having to watch 13 matches.
Oh my God.
And it's like, we're talking about why is it so hard to get us back in? And it's like, you had one little solution right there is like, cut down those 13 matches and give me like 6.
But not only that,
like,
they have how many shows per week?
Yeah. Yeah.
Why aren't you using some of those matches to main event those shows? Because your ratings are not that great.
Separate your rosters. Keep Dynamite for the main people.
Yeah.
Make your Rampage show like, okay, maybe the guys in a few years, like build them up.
Yeah.
And then Ring of Honor could be your NXT or whatever, and like,
yeah.
I don't know. It's like one of those things like, we're talking about this and we're not in the business to where.
We don't know what we're talking about, but I feel like
we know what we're talking about.
But no, anything that's not working is.
Are they having the conversations too? That's what I'm concerned about. Like, why aren't they talking about this? Why haven't they addressed this and like fixed it to where we're like, it makes sense to us out there.
I hope like the way that I'm a loss for words right now, that they're not at a loss for words in their production meetings.
No.
Or do they even have production meetings?
That's what I'm saying.
Mox just go out and Death Riders, blood.
Because when I was talking to him, like, he was telling us how much he hated like having to memorize stuff,
Yes.
and that's why he loved it there. That they didn't have to memorize it; that they were kind of doing their own thing. Okay, that worked for like a very short amount of time until people realized, okay, now I need a story. Like, why am I watching
with
this?
Him,
Yeah,
he's not the greatest promo, and I feel like even if he was better at the promo, the fact that he doesn't have a story to make that promo is the problem. Like, he's got a great little group of guys. I mean, you got him, Claudio. Is Pac with him, I believe? I don't know if Wheeler Yuta is still with them. But then he's got, what's Roddy Strong's wife's name?
Mira Sherrick. No.
No.
No, who am I thinking of? I don't know.
It doesn't matter, but
we're old. We forget things.
Listen, yeah, but apparently she's been killing it. And the clips that I see every once in a while, like from their shows, I'm like, you're starting to get me, somewhere. Especially with that, like I think I said earlier, the Jeff Jarrett stuff, the Dustin Rhodes stuff. Like some of these older guys are really showing these guys how to get it done, and they need to kind of follow suit. And I think veterans need to really take control, and the right veterans, not guys like Jericho. Hi guys, like,
my God.
Oh, it's so bad.
The thing is, like, people are afraid to tell him. He has probably a lot of yes men around him. Like, this is great. Keep doing it. This is great. No, like, you need that person to be like, listen, I don't think you should do it anymore.
As long as he's on TV, we're paying him a lot of money. We don't care.
I know. They don't. I mean, they're lucky where they are right now. Right? I'll tell you that, just for who's paying them and how they're getting paid. Because, all right, guys. I mean, at least that's why you see a lot of people leaving and getting out of contracts. And
all right,
whatnot.
back to the good booking talk.
I know, man. So, okay, so the road to WrestleMania, you were talking to me earlier about the undercard.
Yeah.
Let's talk a little bit about this, because even just from Raw, we could talk about one guy, Logan Paul.
Yes.
How he's kind of been killing it a little
Dude,
bit.
he killed it this week, and it shocked the hell out of me because that's a consummate professional.
Yeah.
That dude walked out, got in the ring, loud boos, which I think if it were me, I'd be shitting my pants and wouldn't be able to get through my promo. He powered through that, and he had this arrogance to him, like, you people could boo as loud as you want. I'm going to keep going, and I'm going to keep talking this shit. And he was incredible at it. The little things with Schultz and Logan Paul, two great podcasters together like that, was the perfect dynamic. And then the transitioning and AJ getting into the mix. This is going to be the match that could also steal the show at Mania. AJ and Logan Paul, I think, could be, if it's not going to be Penta and your boy there, Chad Gable, the sleeper pick.
It's incredible because, like, I don't look at Logan Paul as like the celebrity now. He's not working or has worked as intensely as some of these other guys. He does have a different kind of a limited schedule. That's fine. It doesn't bother me. There's plenty. That's why, like, they know how to space these guys out a little bit, and it works. And I don't look at Logan as like a celebrity anymore, like wrestler. Like, I feel like he's on the roster. Like,
he's impressed the out of me.
He was talking the talk, but now he's walking the walk, and he's like, you can hate him for what you want, but he's doing a lot more stuff. That's a lot better than some of these other guys who've been doing it for a long time. And now it's great. And I feel like he's having fun because, like, you'll see him, like, trying to play. He's playing the heel and just trying to get booed. And, like, you can tell, like, he's doing good. I think he's doing good. It doesn't bother me at all. But it's just showing how they're developing this undercard, of just, working on these characters, giving them a little bit here, a little bit there, without going too crazy to where you see them too much or you're really, like, starting to get too much of them, right?
Right.
And it's perfect at the same time for what they've been doing. We also mentioned, too, we were talking a little bit about this before the show, but like Bianca Belair and Naomi, even like their little stuff, they're kind of like, I feel like this is the first time Naomi had some sustenance of anything in a promo since she's been back. They just kind of been, oh, she's back, and like they never let her do anything. I think they're letting these girls actually go with it a little bit. Give us some more drama. Give us some more, like, why they mad at each other.
We got to give props to the whole SmackDown women's roster, not just those three.
Yeah.
But I mean, look at Chelsea Green this week. How entertaining was she against Michin in that match?
Or Cactus Jack.
Yes, dude, she is killer every week. Chelsea Green is must watch.
Yeah.
Must watch
For sure. No,
but I'm sorry. I know I went on a tangent there. Go back to what you're saying about Naomi.
Yeah. And Bianca.
Yes.
I just like their whole, because I feel like for Naomi, it was the first time probably since she's returned that they've actually given her a little bit more of a promo. Like, I feel like there's more emotion. Like, I'm invested in, like, she's really upset about, or like, like it's something more than the usual of what they've given her. And they're actually giving her something to work with. And it's a breath of fresh air, I think, not just for her, but for, like, just in general, these women. Like, give them some more drama. Give me some talking and some just coming out there like, oh, we're happy all the time. Like, why did this happen? I'm intrigued in this story. Like,
that's exactly the difference. You're absolutely right. It's not just her being put in random feuds or being put with a random partner. Like when she was with Sasha Banks when they were the tag champs before they departed.
Yeah.
It just always seemed like some random shit and there was no story behind it. Now she's literally in like this long-term storyline with Jade and with Bianca Belair, and those two put on a hell She sat there and called her a bitch, and Bianca was like, "Oh, word, okay, I'm gonna just stand right here." And then Jade came out and just,
Yep.
go ahead, handle your business, because now I got to go to Raw and I got to deal with Io Sky.
Yeah.
And that's something else they built up this week. Bianca, 2 shows in a row, killed it.
Yep.
Killed it.
And, even going back to like some of these other women, Io Sky, I was upset last week that she won the championship, but
How do you like your new TV?
it's great. There's a warranty though. I got 60 days, or else I gotta. No, but for Io Sky, for example, to where once again they changed the championship with like 7 weeks at the time to go to Mania. It's like why do this? And what did we say years ago about the belt? Like, what did Jake the Roberts say? He was like about the championship.
If you don't need the belt, you don't need it.
Yeah, and like Rhea Ripley, I mean,
that was the thing. They asked him if it bothered him that he never won the title. He said, "No, I never needed it."
Yep.
Yeah.
And it's like one of those things, okay, I see getting it off for Rhea because she's at the point where she doesn't need it. I understand why they gave it to her, but going into Mania, she doesn't really need it because if she, I don't think she needs to lose at Mania right now. She's still one of the most over women that they have, so it's like, why bury her? You put it on Io for maybe her to lose it to Belair or to back to Rhea or something, but I understand and I can see why they did it because I think the belt kind of makes Io needs the belt. I think to give her more sustenance a little bit, to give her more, credit for what she's done through the years, right? So we were watching Lucha Underground videos of her against Penta. If you haven't seen it, Google it, right? Like, this is a little older Io Sky, but at the same time, like, she's still talented.
Yeah.
She's still, she's like in the Nakamura boat where she's Japanese or she can't really cut a good promo. She's with Asuka in that boat where they're giving her like, just yell a few words.
It's
and
just racist.
It's not, but she can't. I'm trying to say, but you know what I mean? Like,
I do.
Giving her the championship kind of makes her more credible. Where she doesn't need to cut a promo, because I thought what they did on TV was great, where they kind of pushed her away and then she smacked them or whatever. That was great. And now to me, that's a perfect setup leading up to Mania for them to make it a 3-way, and
that's the thing. Not everybody has to cut the promo. You're right. Like somebody like Io, sometimes her actions speak better than her words.
Yep. And I feel like Vince was kind of forcing it on them to where like they had to cut a promo, they had to do stuff. And then once they started using subtitles for Shinsuke, I was like, this is great. Like, let him just speak as like stop forcing the dude to speak another language he hasn't spoke his whole life, and makes it even worse for him to where like just use him how he is. He's Japanese, show the subtitles, right?
There you go.
But no, all in all, like this undercard, these guys, how we're getting invested talking from AEW is that there's these stories being injected a lot more, and I feel like maybe we'll have to force watch AEW to like see if we can get sucked back into anything.
I'm not doing it this week. No.
But overall,
sometimes I'm just gonna let you just sit there with chew on your own words.
But the undercard, man, it's been great. Like this is it. Once again, if you're on the road to WrestleMania and you have a friend who's never watched wrestling, get them involved because this is the exciting part about it. But I know we got some gripes about this one coming up. There's still no Cena this week, man. Cena won't appear till next week, and when he does appear, I think it's going to be for the next 3 weeks. They're going to be overseas. They have a little overseas WrestleMania tour.
So he's advertised for the next 3 weeks?
Yeah, I believe he's advertised the next 3 weeks, but it's also the next 3 weeks. Raw is going to be at 3 p.m. on Netflix. So if you guys were waiting for this, that's, I guess, one beauty about Netflix. I guess they could stream it whenever you're live or wherever you're live. So, and it doesn't matter because when you get home,
when I get home from work,
it's on there.
I'll just watch it again.
Exactly.
Without the commercials.
Exactly, and that's what I love about it, too. I love going back to it, and I see that they cut out the ads, and it goes right back to it. That's great.
Yeah,
But no, because I mean, we were talking about this. If this happened growing up, and Hogan joined Scott Hall and Kevin Nash, and they didn't show him the next week on like WCW to explain himself. Are you kidding me? Like I'm hitting the mic. I'm getting so mad. I understand what he's filming. He's lived long enough to see himself turn into the villain. I remember him complaining about The Rock not being there via satellite and all that stuff years ago. And now he's turned himself into that too. And I get it, you're making a living, but with something this big, don't you think you could have went to Raw the next week and then go to your movie?
Not for nothing.
What's 2 days difference? Come on.
God. I'm going to tell you this. When I was watching SmackDown, that first hour was absolutely incredible. And then we got to the Cody promo.
Yeah.
With that big ass eye of his, all up.
It's gonna be healed by the time we see Cena again. It's not gonna be a big deal anymore. It's like,
bro,
you gave me a black eye a month ago.
What are we doing here? Yeah, And like after that, it just seemed like the rest of the show kind of dragged for me, and without any interaction between these two.
Yeah.
I said this last week. How can we have a farewell tour if you're not there for me to say a farewell tour?
I know, right?
Like, it's just weird. I get it. And they're going to tout, dude, it's the biggest heel turn ever. And look at our social media numbers. It's the most watched video on this and that. And I don't care because one of your top matches really has little to no build for me. And like, I feel like I'm a spoiled bitch. Just like everybody else. We need this now. We can't wait. But at the same time, like if this is your biggest story and you're not giving us any content for it, like he did that on SmackDown and you could have gotten away with it. Yeah. Right? Then he comes out on Raw, does the exact same happy to be here at the end. And it was just like, what the point of that?
I know. We need the opposite. And like, okay, if Cena's busy filming, I get it, right? He made a commitment. He's got to do it. You can't even have The Rock come out and just talk about it.
Yeah, dude, like something to
build it, right?
Yeah, to further the storyline. Because, again, what was the point? You could have had him, it looks like you want some, come get some. That was a SmackDown. We didn't need him on Raw. We could have furthered something else. Dude, we could have had an R-Truth segment, and that would have been more entertaining than Cody basically saying the exact same thing.
Yep.
What, 3 days apart from each other?
I like The Rock's like, his thing is always, just sit down and enjoy the ride The Rock's going to take you on, enjoy whatever. And I'm like, okay, but you haven't taken us on the, like, this is the ride and you're still 2 stops late. Like,
yeah, here's the difference.
Man. This isn't the time to be here.
I think it's funny because Cena used to complain about The Rock not being there.
Yeah.
But I think the difference is with Cena, he always had that 50-50, right? Half the crowd loved him, half the crowd booed him. He doesn't have The Rock's cachet, so to speak. Yeah. Like, he can't disappear for a little while and people are going to be like, oh, yeah, and cheer you when you come back. Or get the exact proper reaction they're looking for. He does not have, The Rock's aura. He's not going to get away with it. But meanwhile, he can do that and talk to The Rock. Cody can't do that for Cena. Because what good is this white bread baby face without no foil there for you to have any interaction with? We've been arguing back and forth that Cody's title run has been so stale because of some of the booking, right? Yeah. Some of the storylines haven't been the best. And then we got him and Kevin Owens and that program, and they built that up. And it was 10 times better because he had somebody that he could go back and forth with and talk with on the mic and build that story. I get it. We're going to finally get him down the road and they're just buying time. But this is your, main event, dude. Like, does it work for me, brother?
That's it. And that's the thing, man. It's like, without him being there for one of the biggest stories, it's like, we're in limbo right now. I'm sure we'll bite our tongue next week once we see what he does. Okay, whatever. But in the meantime, like, I don't know. Like, you have nothing going on, and like, why even have Cody come back? Like, Cody could have still been faking the injury of being beat up by 3 guys.
Do you know what it feels like? It feels like the cliffhanger at the end of whatever season show you're watching before the summer hits, and we got to wait for fall to find out what happened. Yeah, like, come on. I know it's only 2 or 3 weeks, but like, a lot can happen in 2 or 3 weeks that can make or break any feud. I'm sorry.
No, I know. I mean, it's one of the things to where we dedicated our show last week for this whole thing to where we're still talking about it. And maybe that's what they wanted, Cooter. They wanted us to keep bitching about it every week until we see him next week. I don't know.
Not for nothing. We had to talk about it again because they didn't change anything. I know we're part of the problem too, but the internet is a horrible place.
People are there's so much hate out there, and it's for one man. It's the real American.
I wouldn't say it was a lot of hate, but there was some saltiness.
No, yeah, I saw this one guy. Right, he was he did a YouTube video or a video online, social media, hating about the whole Hogan event last week up here. Hogan went around our area from ShopRites, the bars, and whatnot. People are complaining he was late. People are complaining he wasn't signing for the children. It was a free event. It's
not only that, like, I heard he was only signing the beer, like you said last week.
Yeah.
But contractually, especially if the distributor was paying him, maybe he was only allowed to sign the beer.
No,
so,
yeah.
I mean,
he's got a Legends contract too, I believe. So it's like there's only certain things they'll let him do with certain people or wear at certain locations.
Yeah.
I mean, I remember years ago, I paid like $300. It was like a bid to meet him, and I paid maybe $300, something like close to that.
Yeah, I bet.
And it was for the same exact experience. And I was like, it's free. I'm just going to buy the beer. I'm going to, go get him to sign that. I didn't know exactly what he was doing. But you can't complain. It was free. You got to meet him. You got a photo. You got some beer. Got the beer signed.
Credo. I mean, it was horrible. Some of the jokes that I heard.
Yeah.
I saw one person saying they're just waiting for Hogan to make a 40 ounce so he can make amends with the black community.
Oh.
I was like, oh no. That's just horrible, dude. It's just horrible. I mean, it's funny, but it's horrible.
I mean, I went out there for Hogan for the nostalgia. Hulk Hogan. I grew up with the man, right?
I went out for the beer.
Well, that's true.
Yeah.
I mean,
I'm starting to dig
cheesy product placements. I mean, who does that really? Real American beer. That's who.